In this video, let us see the top 10 bizarre deaths. So, number 10, King Adolf Hedrick of Sweden, which happened May 14th, 17. Actually, he lived from May 14th, 1710 to February 12, 1771. So, manner of death was eating too much pudding. So, Adolf Hedrick was the titular king of Sweden from 1751 to 1771. The omnipotent Riksdag Senate held the reins of power despite Adolf's best efforts to wrest it from them. A victim of personal excess, Adolf Hedrick is known by his Swedish children as the king who ate himself to death. On February 12, 1771, after partaking of a bouquet consisting of lobster, caviar, sauerkraut, smoked herring, and champagne, he moved on to his favorite dessert, semla, a traditional bun or pastry made from semolina or white flour, served in a bowl of hot milk. 1 or 2 portions would have been sufficient. 14 servings were excessive. He died shortly thereafter of digestion problems. Number 9, Horace Wells. He lived between January 21, 1815 to January 24, 1848. The manner of death was used anesthetics to commit suicide. An American dentist born in Vermont and educated in Boston, Horace Wells was one of the pioneers in the field of anesthesia. Weary of screaming patients, it was known to upset him terribly, and he often debated leaving the field of dentistry altogether. He was one of the first practitioners to see the value of nitrous oxide or laughing gas as an anesthetic. After a failed experiment and a falling out with the medical community, Wells became the traveling anesthetic salesman and European expert for his former partner, Gardner Quincy Colton. His investigations led to a chloroform addiction that would be his downfall. So, number 8, Taiko Brehe. He lived between December 14, 1546 to October 24, 1601. The manner of death was didn't go get to the toilet in time. Famous as an alchemist and astronomer, Brahe's pioneering observations of planetary motion paved the way for Sir Isaac Newton to develop the theory of gravity. Unfortunately, brilliance and common sense do not always go hand in hand, the manner of his death being the case in point. Knowing that it was very bad form to leave a bang total before the festivities concluded. Brahe, who was known to have a weak bladder, neglected to relieve himself before dinner. To compound matters, he was known to drink excessively, and this particular bunge was no exception. Number 7, Grigory Rasputin, January 22nd, 1869 to December 29, 1916. Manner of death was drowning after being poisoned, shot, stabbed, and bludgeoned. The mad monk Grigory Rasputin, who was pagan and mystic healer, who found favor with the royal court of Russia by providing relief to Crown Prince Alexei, a hemophiliac and heir to throne. Wielding much influence on the royal court, the unkempt, vulgar, and amazingly resilient Rasputin made many political enemies. He had to go much easier said than done. The conspirations first tried poison, enough poison to kill a man 3 times his size, but he seemed unaffected. Number 6. Isadora Duncan. He lived in between May 27, 1877 to September 14, 1927. Manner of death was strangulation and a broken neck. Isadora Duncan is widely considered the mother of modern dance. Born in San Francisco, California, Dora Angola Duncan was the product of divorced parents. Her father was a disgraced banker and her mother a paintist and a music teacher. Her freeform style was never very popular in her home country, but she found great success after immigrating to Paris. She found 3 schools of dance and her carved or entrance to the Theatre de Ham. Number 5. Christine Chubak lived from August 24, 1944 to July 15, 1974. The manner of death was suicide on live TV. Christine Chubak was the host of Suncoast Digest, a well-regarded public affairs program on WXLT TV in Sarasota, Florida. Breaking format, her guest was waiting across the studio at the news anchor's desk. Christine read 8 minutes of national news stories before the tape reel malfunctioned while Christine was describing a shooting at the Beef and Bottle restaurant. Number 4. Sharon Lopatka, September 20, 1961 to October 16, 1996. Manner of death was volunteered to be tortured and murdered. Sharon Lopatka was an internet entrepreneur and one sick puppy living in Hampstead, Maryland. Sharon was killed by Robert Frederick Glass in a case of consensual homicide. Number 3. Francis Bacon, January 22, 1561 to April 9, 1626. Manner of death was stuffing snow into a chicken. Francis Bacon, statesman, philosopher, creator of English essay, and advocate for the scientific revolution. He established the scientific method still used today. Was one of very few people to die as a result of one of their own experiments. Number 2. Attila the Han, 406 to 453. Manner of death was a nosebleed on his wedding night. History's most brilliant tactician, warlord, and notorious villain, Attila the Hun conquered all of Asia by 450 AD using a combination of fierce combat and ruthless assimilation Mongolia to the very edge of the Russian Empire. fell to Attila and his armies. Known for his frugal eating and drinking habits, Attila must have thought that this own wedding was an occasion to celebrate. Marrying a young girl named Hideko in 453 AD, he overindulged in both food and drink. Sometimes, after retiring for the evening, his nose started to bleed. Too drunk to notice, it continued to bleed, ultimately drowning him in his own blood. Number 1. Aeschylus, 525 BC, 524 BC to 456 BC. Manner of death was an eagle dropped a tortoise on his head. Considered the founder of a tragedy, Aeschylus is the first of the three ancient Greek playwrights whose work still survives. He expanded the characters of a play so that there was conflict between them instead of actors solely interacting with the chorus. Sophocles and Euripides famously followed in his footsteps while visiting Gela on the island of Sicily. Legend has it that an eagle, mistaking Aeschylus' bald pate for a stone, dropped a tortoise on his head, killing him. These are the top 10 bizarre deaths happened in the history. Truly bizarre deaths.